Hi,
Hi,
John.
Sejal. Hi,
How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
All right. So it's really nice to have you here today.
Nice to see you. How's everything going?
All good, sustaining in the lockdown.
Yeah.
All right, friends. So welcome to the talk show. I'm Sejal Gupta, an authorized Ashtanga Yoga teacher from Mumbai, India. And today I'm here with John Bultman from the US. He's one of the few certified Ashtanga Yoga teachers worldwide and also serves as the Ashtanga Yoga Program Director at the Contemplative Sciences Center at the University of Virginia. And he's also a dear friend. I'm really excited to chat with him today on one of my favorite topics, the sadhana, sweetness, and sustainability. So John is going to be sharing his understanding on the topic and also going to be sharing, various aspects of the practice. So welcome, John.
Thank you. It's so nice to see you, Sejal.
Yeah, same. All right. So John, let's, hear from you that what made you choose the path of yoga.
Oh, wow. So the path of yoga, I think, was from a long time coming. I don't exactly know the roots of where it started. I find that the closer I look at, it wasn't like suddenly there was one thing that pushed me over the edge, but it was kind of a gradual re-looking and re-investigating how I was interested for a long time in that. So I think, I was born into my father's a Lutheran pastor, so I had from a long age this interest in spiritual things, as well as physical practices to kind of enhance those spiritual things for a long time. So yeah, I think I've always been interested, but didn't really know the depths of it.
Right. And how did India happen to you?
How did India happen? Well, so I knew that there was this colorful, amazing, deeply rich historical place.
Right.
But
Sorry to interrupt, but your voice is breaking a bit. It doesn't seem very smooth.
oh no, let me see if I can fix that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the connection or something. Uh, is that any better?
Uh, Looks like, yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So you asked what brought me to India?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was this colorful, amazing place, but in my mind, it was my friends who were skateboarders. I was a skateboarder for a long time,
Okay.
and they said that they had gone there and done these demos and said that it was just this super crazy, dirty place. So they didn't really sell it to me very well. But I had a girlfriend that had been there also, and she said, "Yeah, you should go check it out." And so I was very interested in, at the time, studying yoga with someone who had grown up with it as deeply entrenched in their life, and someone who was really good at it, who had maybe some of the best potential at it. So I found Ashtanga and found out about that, and then decided to go there. And it was so scary.
Yeah,
I just remember culturally it was so different at that time.
yeah.
Now it's a little bit more chill, but at that time it was very shocking for me.
Right.
And even in the shala, I remember Pattabhi Jois yelling across the room, at people, and it was like this breathing room of, and you're just standing in the waiting room. I thought, I got it. I literally wanted to turn away and go because I was so freaked out that,
Right.
you're seeing people put limbs here and everywhere. And, I had never had a teacher yell at me like that, or
Right.
yell at people in the room. And, I didn't get yelled at too much, but it was this different teaching environment that,
Right.
that I wasn't accustomed to. So, but it was amazing. It was such a great opportunity, and I'm so glad I started.
Okay. So, what does sadhana sweetness mean? Could you elaborate a little on it?
Yeah. So as you know, and as you probably also, you had also an injury. And many of the people listening, probably if they're humans, they have imbalances or injuries in their bodies.
Yeah.
So after I had this really traumatic injury, I felt like there was a reorienting of why I wanted to practice, which to simply say was so that I could feel good, so that I recognized that I can, you know, when you're in a hospital bed, your motivation for what you're going to do is a little different. So you're thinking like, okay, I can breathe. There's a start, you know, and I want to just let that be the line of thought. And so after this big trauma that I had, that became this mantra of just, wait, this can feel good, and this bliss mechanism can come, it's not separate from me, that I can use it as a tool to feel good regularly. So I can breathe bigger, I can breathe more calmly, even in stressful situations where I might be interviewed. I can say, let's wait, let's just, you know, we don't have to rush things. My normal way is like, so I'm trying to get good at that on and off the mat, and so that was the sweetness that I found. And then I continually have to remind myself that I can find every morning, as you might expect. Sometimes at 4 a.m. it's a hard sell to think that I can feel really good. Right. So then I have to be like, wait, if I just like slow it down, you know, do my Surya Namaskar very slowly and ugly, you know, but with the breath, it may not look so good, but the point is to like make it feel really nice. Then what usually happens after I do 2 or 3 of those is I start to be like, wait, this feels really good, you know? And so it's amazing too, after, you know,
right. But what kept you going after this accident? You know, a lot of people.
What kept me going?
What kept you going? Like, I'm sure it's difficult, no? Like when you go through such a trauma, it wasn't a small one, so. Yeah.
Luckily, I had a lot of students and community that's very important to me. I had, you know, as you know, I have a very great teacher who, he was very nice in that they encouraged me to try to shoot this video, which isn't out yet, but it gave me this push to say, I want to try to see what happens if I can see as best I can to heal myself, just to follow what they think that I might be able to do. So I had that little carrot to say, let's just see if I can make myself better, you know, with this. And also that I wanted to just, you know, I didn't want to be mopey and down. I mean, you know, it's not our true nature, I think, is to just like, we don't thrive and we're not like as happy if we're just self-pitying all the time. That needs to happen sometimes, but eventually you just got to get up and get after it. Yeah.
Nice. But how does one, you know, go about building a sadhana, you know?
So it didn't come easy for me in the beginning. I was a geology instructor. And so it was a really hard sell. It took 5 months of me, basically my girlfriend just guilting me, like, you should practice. And I would say, I don't think so. And so that kept going on like a long time, me saying, okay, I'll get around to it sometime in the day. And then it would be like 30 minutes that I would squeeze. I would close my office door, and then I would just like try to do it for 30 minutes. But even then I was not really that interested. And it wasn't until I recognized that that I wasn't as healthy as I thought I was, that like I really had a lot of tightness and stiffness, if you can believe, and weakness. I was and am pretty weak. So recognizing that my physical body wasn't very good, but also that my mind was so unsteady, so unstable, and in general that I wasn't getting enough oxygen to my brain. So when I learned how to use the breath, and that became this really like fun and interesting thing for me to investigate on how I might start to parse out situations and kind of stretch how I react to them a little bit. Not to say that I can control them in the moment, but if I can give a little space to just say, okay, well, let's let's see how we can react in a normal breathing situation. That
Right.
became a really, that was the hook. So
Right.
I built my sadhana off of that. And when I
Mm-hmm.
recognized that it's a breathing practice, that it's something that can support my day and, you know, make me more efficient,
Yeah.
then that's how I started to build it off of that notion.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. But
Yeah.
also, how does one establish a relationship with the practice, you know?
Well, that's an important thing. So it depends on where you're coming from, you know, what your intention is.
Mm-hmm.
If you're seeking liberation,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like in this life, then you really need to get after it. You know, like
Right.
you have to renounce a lot of stuff, and you have to really. So initially, even delusionally, I would say that was my motivation.
Right.
Was, I mean, it's crazy to think that I had that bodhicitta wish for enlightenment, you know, as soon as possible.
Right.
Because now it seems so ridiculous, but at that time it was. So, but other people, they may just want to just have a little bit of exercise, which is also very good, or they may want to just feel, you know, like a little bit better, and that's totally cool too. So
Right.
you can build your practice off of whatever your needs are, and
Mm-hmm.
not one is better than another. The motivations, I think, are both valuable for each individual. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just like eating food, good food.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to necessarily know where it comes from and know like the depths of it
Right.
to get nourishment from it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you start to learn a little bit about that, then it becomes much tastier sometimes, you know, like, oh, well, this came from this region and it took all of this. Yeah. So
Yeah. True. Okay, nice. So, you know, my students always ask me this, that what's the key to bring in sustainability in one's own practice? So maybe you can throw
right.
something like that.
Yeah, I think that we often think of yoga practice, especially in North America, and I won't say the West because the world is a circle, but there's a binge mentality, I think, in these times, just in general in the whole world, where, you know, our time frame is getting shorter.
Yeah.
We're putting more blinders on, and so we want a quick fix, or and we don't look at a fruit tree or a mango tree and say, you know, it's like maybe this small, and say, okay, bring me mangoes. You know, we recognize that it's going to take 7-8 years for mangoes to come. So to bring sustainability, I think that first we have to think that we're always in posture, you know, we're always breathing, and we're always looking. Even if our eyes are closed, we're having this seeing. If we're dreaming or whatever it is, that's always going on. So if you're going to do that, then you, at some point, you realize that because I'm doing this regularly, and because I'm shutting off or dimming the lights, that a regular re-looking or you know, lighting up awareness into the body, into the mind, into the breath, into those three things, those three foundations of the practice, is going to work out probably best. So sustainability means cultivating a regular practice. At some point you recognize that that's probably the most sustainable thing to do, rather than having like a 2 or 4 hour, you know, practice or a weekend workshop. Sometimes even that, maybe just 20 minutes a day is just as good, or if not better, I would say. So
that is nothing, like doing a little bit.
Yeah, and there's a great quote from Paracelsus, you may know. He's the dose makes the poison. And so just yoga is also not inherently good. I mean, you can overdo anything. Honestly, you can overdo. So recognizing what you need in your life at that whatever time you're at, and that will change, obviously, depending on, like when I first started, 30 minutes actually was probably good enough. But where I'm at now, my teacher thinks that I need 2 hours a day, and so I just agree with him. So but he's right, and it's because I can do that. So that's what I think about sustainability. You have to
Right.
kind of look at your gifts in your life, where you're at right now, and
Right.
say, what will bring me joy and happiness throughout my day?
Right. That's I think the key, that it has to bring joy at the end of it.
Yeah. And sometimes you have
Totally.
to like cut back and say, wait, I'm pushing
Yeah.
too hard. And, I'm
Right.
trying this whole irregular binging thing.
Right.
And then other times you can be honest with yourself and just say, maybe I'm being a little lazy. I
Yeah.
could do more.
Totally.
And
Yeah.
that tendency is very
That
common.
is something that we need to maintain on a regular basis.
Yeah.
True, true. But a lot of times, practitioners hit something called the yogi's block, where things get saturated. So how does one unblock this?
Where we feel like we're at a plateau or
Yeah,
something.
true.
So that, to me, I think comes into a reflection. Like, you need this outer teacher as well as the inner teacher. And the
Okay.
tendency is for us to lean one or the other, where we say, okay, I'm only going to listen to myself. And, I've
Right.
been hurt by listening to other people, and I'm the real seer here. But
Yeah,
you need that reflection to be able to be honest with yourself and say, oh,
yeah,
wait, I could do better.
yeah.
Which is hard sometimes to do. And then the other danger, obviously, and this is, big topic of discussion right now, is just relying only on the outer teacher. If they tell you to jump off a building, then you just do it, and but that's stupid.
Yeah.
But I find that one needs both.
Right.
So to prevent those plateaus, it's healthy, I think, to use Sangha, to use, an outer teacher, and to use an inner teacher. Those three kind of things are helpful.
Okay. And, can you throw some light on the importance of self-practice?
Yeah, so I'm going to kind of quote Shakyamuni Buddha, which he says, that he's this, the Buddha is very like nice to look at least for me. He has like this glow, and the top knot and big ear and this little smile. It's just like
very calm and
so very, very calm, very like soothing to even think about.
Yeah.
And what's sweet about that is then he says that even though I might look very pleasing, he doesn't say it in these words, but even though he does look very pleasing, he says the wise should test gold by burning it, cutting it, and rubbing it. So just so you shouldn't accept his words. Like, don't just take what I say and run off a cliff with it. You need to examine it, and you need to examine that regularly. So the importance of self-practice is that self-inquiry, that self-investigation of, okay, well, this teacher said this, or my mom said this. How does that relate to patterns that are going on and, on the mat? How do I constantly create suffering in myself, and how can I stop that? What do I need to cut out from my life to, it's not about cutting out what we see out there when we roll out our mat. It's usually like, okay, well, so that to me is the beauty of that relational component of the practice and eventually how you can become more joyful, I think, from the inside.
Right. Okay. Right. Somebody just asked in the middle, I'm just going to quickly take that what was the accident? So can you just quickly tell us a little about what happened?
Yeah, I'll give you the easy version. Yeah, I had a accident 3 years ago where I broke my hand and the head of my femur while riding a motorbike to see the Dalai Lama. And there's more to it, like, that I could go into, but yeah, it was a pretty crazy experience.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I've had other accidents in my life in the past, and so there's trauma in my body, from other things I've done, and I know
Yeah.
you have too, Sejal, so not
Yeah.
sure if you want to say too much about that, but yeah, that.
I mean, I have gone through a similar accident. It's amazing how one comes out of it, but
Yeah. Yeah, I think the difference maybe is that, you know, in the accident I had, first off, they kind of slammed their brakes in front of me and then tried to put me in their car. And it was
yeah,
realizing that having all those wheels turn
right,
later was very traumatic for me.
yeah,
I kind of blocked a little of that out. And so those traumas we hold in our bodies, right? A lot of those experiences
yeah,
are deeply embedded. And as we practice, even years, I've had things that have come up in my knee, for
or
example,
yeah,
where it was like, wow, where's that even? And then you have a memory of like falling on a bike or something. You're like, okay,
crazy,
yeah,
yeah,
right. So we store a lot of that in our bodies, and those patterns can slowly,
yeah,
carefully be, you know, kind of petted to, you know, just sweetness, I would say. But that can take a lot of time and a lot of dialogue. If you just block it out, then I
totally,
think some of that,
yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah, but your video was so inspiring when I was injured and when I was in the hospital. I think your video was something I saw so many times because it was really, really inspiring to, watch, the way you kind of came out of it and stuff like that. So yeah, it's incredible.
well, you were very inspiring this year. I saw, you know, you practicing over there, and
Yeah,
you know, sometimes when you're practicing in a group, you feel like it has to be a performance. And if you're
yeah,
injured, like I also was injured this time too. I like
right.
tore something in my back, and so I
Yeah,
wasn't able to practice the way that I normally do.
yeah,
So it was nice to have a friend that was struggling,
yeah,
you know, a little
true.
bit. Not that you didn't look great in your practice as you normally, but it was like
Yeah,
everyone will come to a place where, you know, it's a practice. It's not a perfect, and
true.
that is such an important place to come from, I think.
Totally, yeah. And as you rightly said that, when you're in a room where everybody's kind of like practicing and, it is like a performance at the end of the day where sometimes it's hard to look different and things like that. But I think over time, it teaches you how to, go deeper and not worry about those things so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, all right, great. So a final word for the practitioners listening to us today, John.
Final word. You can find bliss inside of you in each moment, and every breath can bring you joy. So try to find a way to enjoy it, just like you would if you were enjoying a savory meal.
Yeah.
That breath can bring you sweetness and joy in every moment, and it's there for the taking. So inquire into that.
Right. Great. Thank you. So I'm just going to leave the forum for a few questions if you're okay with that.
Yeah, we can take a minute. I don't have too long because I have to get on another call here, but yeah.
We'll just a few. So somebody's asking, do you think your injury and the recovery has made you a better human being?
I won't say better because I don't like to put myself in a hierarchy in that scheme. I think that it can make me more aware of certain patterns.
Yeah.
But to say better makes me feel like, there's a superiority thing. So, and not to split hairs, but yeah, I think that certainly it can make you more aware in certain places and more relatable to someone that has had a traumatic injury, right? Suddenly you approach them and you see them, especially I can say with teaching, I can say, oh, this person has a trauma, and they, they're relating to that in a way that I don't know that I understood before.
Right.
So.
Great. All right. Thank you so much. I hope that answers your question, guys. All right.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time, John. It was lovely having you here.
Yeah, nice to see you, Sejal.
Same here.
All right.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Hello friends,